able to get back on this. We got to get honest, because if we can't be honest with ourselves and we can't be honest with others, like we're always co-creating life, and you know, the law of correspondence and the law of vibration, they will always bring it. The truth cannot be hidden. It'll always come to the surface. So honesty is my truth.
Hi everybody, welcome to Soul Cync. I'm your host Chaniah Kelley, and today we have a very, very, very special guest that I'm so honored that she's here with me. Her name is Sherrie B. She has been business and life coaching for over 20 years. She does a lot of energy work as well, vibrational healing, clearing generational trauma, mindset coaching, energy medicine, and spiritual hypnotherapy. And she's also one of my dear friends. Sherrie, welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So today, seriously, guys, it is an honor she's here. I've been trying to get her to be here for a while now, but in all divine timing, can you explain to us what hypnosis is? Because when I tell people I go to hypnotherapy, they're like, what is that? So let's get into what hypnotherapy is.
So hypnotherapy, therapeutic hypnotherapy, is really working with the subconscious mind, where 95% of our mind power is. So when I put my clients into a state of hypnosis, it's just like a very deeply relaxed state. So if someone is like driving down the freeway and they pass an exit that we're supposed to pass by, that's a driving trance. Wow. So we are in and out of hypnosis pretty much throughout the day. But working with someone like me in hypnotherapy, it's in a therapeutic environment, and we address what needs to be addressed for what you want to achieve in your life. Really, it's just working with the subconscious mind, being in a very relaxed state, and depending on what we're doing, it's like almost like a guided meditation or visualization as transmissions come through my spirit for your highest good.
Right. One of the first time I ever got like hypnotized, because my first session, I feel like people think automatically like it's just super life-changing within the first 10 minutes. Well, first, actually, I want to get into how I even found you and what brought me to being interested in hypnotherapy. My aunt, shout out to my auntie Josette, when I first started working at Public Records, working for a record label, she was like, this is a really big job and you have to start going to hypnotherapy. It's really important that you are being coached through life and you don't have anything from your past or from your parents interfere with your life anymore. So I was like, okay. I went to someone in San Francisco and I felt like I was looking for that experience where I've had with you many times, where I'm like, okay, I'm hypnotized and it works. And I was it felt like I was just meditating. And then through Angie, shout out to Angie, I met you, one of my hairstylists, and she's like, oh no, you got to go to Sherrie. She's the real deal. She's amazing. And our first session was great. But it wasn't until our second session where I really was like, oh, this is a outer body experience. And I just remember sitting there. You had me find a spot on the ceiling, and you were telling me like the even numbers, I'm going to close my eyes. The odd numbers, I'm going to open it. And then I'm going to start to forget if I need to have my eyes open or closed. And I remember being there, and you have your cozy blanket and your cozy chair, and I'm sitting there, and I just remember my hands. I'm like, I can't really move my hands, and I could feel it, but it was like, okay, this is cool, but I'm fully aware, I'm fully conscious of what's going on. You asked me, when was the first time you lost trust in a man? And I'm like, how am I going to remember that? And you're like, oh, don't worry, get in the chair. And it was crazy because it was just like, I was able to watch myself on a screen. And I'm just sitting there and I'm fully just like, asleep, but fully awake.
Yeah.
And it was so peaceful. Like it wasn't a scary feeling at all. I like your voice just tranquil, like completely at peace. And then it was like you were able to spiritually really, and physically, you might have held my hand too, I can't remember, but walk me through this. And then it was like little 4 or 5-year-old Naya, and then boom, I was able to remember the first time I lost trust in a man. Mm-hmm. That was my experience, and It was really, really interesting and really great and very life-changing. But I want to know, what brought you into doing hypnotherapy? Have you done it before? Do you do it on yourself? Like, let's get into that.
Sure. So I got into it because I've always been on this spiritual healing journey, and just through my own life experiences, my own spiritual awakening, I went into the time in my life where I was deeply into meditation and connecting to spirit, to the spirit realm. And I got guided to just deepen my practice. And some things happened in my life that about my nephew, who was the catalyst for me to get into this particular work that I'm doing. He was battling with heroin use, and he was a byproduct of unconscious parenting.
How old was he?
He was around 20, and so I helped him walk the path of forgiveness and to help him get in and out of rehab. Passed away at 27. Daniel.
So he was battling it through that whole time.
And he was living on Skid Row, in and out of Skid Row. And I would tune in, and I would be the only person that could find him. I didn't know where he was. They had private investigators, couldn't find him. But when I would tune in, I was able to find him. I found out about it through the inner guidance to where to go and find him. And so I was able to help walk that path of forgiveness. And then when he passed away, I devoted my life to helping humanity raise their consciousness and to heal their unconscious wounds, which I later found out was what my mission was, because then I was guided to put together different modalities that I had already been kind of working on myself, but I didn't know there were actually modalities.
Yeah.
And then so that's how it led me to where I am today. And I chose not to have a website. I chose that I wanted anyone to come directly from source that was really meant to work with me and find me. And that's exactly how it unfolded, because my devotion to truly coming from a place of light and to help from a purely heart-centered intention led to me. I started channeling meditations, which I have now, and they're called heart-centered meditations. They're all channeled. They're very high vibrational, and they help others reinforce and manifest the things that they want to experience. But we first have to work on the shadow aspects, right, and the inner and the childhood, and that's where I go to the root. And that's where we went when we were first connecting.
Yeah, because I came in there with all these problems. I was like, okay, I want to get rid of this. I want to work on this. And you were like, okay, well, we got to go to the root. And I'm like, no, but I'm here for this. And you're like, Chaniah, trust me. And I'm so happy I did. Because of that, we were able, to get to that mother womb, to that father womb. And now, the relationship stuff, what's interfering with work. One of the things that I had been currently struggling with was getting out of my masculine energy. And it's so funny. I'd love to just share this story because you were able to pinpoint it right away. I'm like, I want to get into the date and what happened here and there and there. And you're like, it happened before you even got there. And what happened was, and I want to share this because, ladies, I feel like we're not really conscious of it. Like, I'm thinking, so here's what happened. Let me just jump straight into it. Our date was set for 8:30. And he had said, if 9 o'clock works better for you, let's just do that. And so I was like, okay. And then he had gotten there at 8 p.m. So I'm just like, well, we could have had all this time for each other, but he's thinking for me. Like, why would he be thinking for me? And Sherrie was able to be like, Chaniah, he's a man. He's supposed to lead. And what's wrong with a man being considerate? And I'm like, wow, Chaniah, get it together. And there I realized as soon as that made sense and that connected in my brain, it was like that energy, and how we talk about, energy doesn't lie, was there throughout the rest of the time. Because there was other incidences where I'm thinking, why is he doing this? Like, that's my thoughts. It's my feelings. When he's the man, he's supposed to lead. And as a woman, we're receiving. And I should have walked in there and been like, wow, thank you. I love that you're so considerate. And I love how you say being in your feminine, being a woman is being love. And that's truly the greatest frequency. And I feel like me at my core, so I just want to get back to being that. But with you, I know you can relate because you're such a just alpha female. And like when Sherrie like walks in the room, I feel like people sit up straight because the goddess is here. But you have such a powerful energy. I mean, clearly she comes in and we have been never. But can we get into the masculine energy and how you could just help us women be a little softer and get back to just receiving again and being love and just being the beautiful goddesses we are?
Wow. I love how we have this extraordinary power, right? We have this power to create life. As women, we have this divine feminine energy. And we are meant to transmit that and radiate that. And as babies, we were born a bundle of joy and love, and that is our core essence. And then if we feel hurt in any way, our heart almost starts to develop a shield around it, and we go into that masculine kind of energy that we all have. We all, men and women, both have masculine and feminine energy. And because the masculine is the protector and the provider, we draw from that masculine energy of protection. Right. So we start to protect ourselves and we start to speak in certain ways. And if we're not catching that, I have it with my own daughter. I catch her when she feels hurt and she starts to defend herself. It's not her authentic self. She's speaking from her wounding. So I help to repair that wounding so that we can speak from and live from and radiate from our core essence, which is love at our core. And men are amazing. They're meant to help us in so many ways so that we can receive. We're designed to receive as women.
Right. We're being entered. We're not doing it.
Exactly. And so male energy is beautiful because it's there to protect us, to provide us, not just financially, but through being there emotionally and being, holding space. And we have that all within us. But if we are judging them and we're living in our minds, our mind is the masculine and our body is the feminine. So we start to, as women, we start to live in our head and we start thinking this and thinking that, and we're disconnected from our heart, our intuition. And so that's where the breakdown starts to happen. And there's power struggles between the men and women in certain relationships, like because of the masculine and feminine wounding, and it stems from childhood. A lot of times the examples of our own parents don't give an authentic, example of what it's like. I came from my mother was in her masculine, and just like leaving Iran, like leaving that revolution, they had to shave my head so that I could be a boy. They wouldn't see me.
They did not.
They did. They had to shave my head to get me out of. I don't even know. And I remember like I had to. I went into another. I split probably, and I went into a more masculine.
Naturally, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And I was, I was a little tomboy, but I was also, a girl, right? As a girl, wear the red lipstick with this bald head. That's kind of like, girl, anyway. It was just part of the revolution, the revolution in Iran, and like us escaping. It was all these different things happen. You feel this different traumatic experience. And trauma is energy in our body. It's not the event, it's what happens inside our body. And we need to clear that trauma so we can start to trust our heart and to stay connected to our channel, to divine spirit. And so that we can let our heart lead us where our highest path is, our highest potential is. It doesn't come from our mind, because mind can make up all these stories and all these lies, and he should be doing this, he should be doing that, and then we go into judgment.
When it may not even be.
It has nothing to do with that.
Just like what I thought. I'm like, why is he thinking?
He was thinking it is Aaron. He was right. He was thinking like that's a beautiful thing. He was like ahead of time. He's there. He's showing up for you, and he's there to lead. And so surrendering is like one of the most beautiful feminine aspects of just allowing and trusting and surrendering to your heart and allowing that partner to lead you, but you must trust them. But the only way you can trust them is you trust the wisdom of your own body. And if you're not trusting the wisdom of your own body, how can you let someone else lead and trust you? Because you go into an unconscious way of controlling the experience and controlling other people. And it's all unconscious.
Right.
So when we clear out the subconscious mind and energetics, and we reprogram and we go back to our authentic self, we are then being divinely guided versus reacting to life.
So what do you do like when you feel yourself being triggered? Do you just like stop for a minute, breathe? Because it's like one first is just the awareness, identifying it. But what makes it easier is you got annoyed, you remain triggered. You're like, and the thing about it is I could have went into that dinner, okay, I'm going to forget about it, but energy doesn't lie. It's how, body language is how I'm sitting. It's the tone of how I'm speaking. So if a woman is caught into that situation again and you're becoming aware, like, okay, there's times I am in my masculine, what's like something that we could do to just like reset?
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as identifying triggers, we all know what triggers feel like, right? And so if we can capture them all before they happen, that would be lovely. But that triggers are senses of our soul. So they tell us that there's something that needs to transform or heal. There's something is being released. And so the more we have self-awareness, the more we can catch ourselves before we go in and collapse into the trigger. And so when we do feel that we're in the process of it happening, depending on how advanced we are in our emotional intelligence, which is another part of my teachings, is teaching emotional intelligence and trusting like where you are in your journey and uncovering the area, the energetics of it, is like really like you can just place your hand on your heart and to come back into your body. Because when we are up here is when we're reacting. And when we're here, we're like we're not disassociated from our body. So as a woman, like you can just placing your hand on your heart and you can just like realize and taking a deep breath in and then exhaling slowly. And you just even do that like 3 times with your eyes closed. When you're closing your eyes, you're tuning out the external stimuli that we have so much of in the modern world. And so we will get triggered probably more often as men and women because we have social media and everyone looks so beautiful and they have this constant things. And so in order to be grounded, we really, really need to spend more time in nature, spend more time and commit to our path of our natural path of being who we are, not based on what we're wearing or what we look like, but what's going on within us. And so in those moments, just going back into your body.
I remember it made me think of a time where we had just completed a session and I got a message that pissed me off. And I was so mad because I'm like, we just did all this healing and you just had a big smile on your face, just like how you do now. And I'm like, no, I'm mad. But you're like, no, this is great. Let's take a minute. Like, this is perfect. For the next couple weeks till you come back, I need you to take note of all these triggers. And another thing I noticed with just being a part of this healing journey and like mine personally is to know who to be around and who not to be around after you had a session. Because it's almost like you just have like that soft skin, like you're just more vulnerable during that time. So to really just go within and like how you said, and another beautiful thing that you said, like you can make a book with all your quotes, but you cannot create, or you can, what was it? You cannot create from the heart if you're living in your mind. And that's just a part of being feminine as well. So let's get into your company name, your brand, the Heart Brain. What does that mean to you?
So our hearts have a brain. And that was another thing didn't know, right? But intuitively I did know because I remember I was at a coffee shop before any of this happened, and it came to me like heart brain hypnosis, and I'm like, what is? First of all, at the time I didn't even know what hypnosis was.
Really?
Nothing.
So when was this?
This was hypnosis when this came about, probably around 2006 2017.
Wow.
Around 2017. So I had my daughter when she was in 2016, and my nephew passed away in 2017. So there was a lot of different things that were going on around that time period. And in my meditations, as I was meditating and I was just being still, these different words would just come into my body, into my mind, and into my heart, and it was heart brain hypnosis.
And it just happens all the time. I'm like, wait, Sherrie, hold on, let me get my note that. Can we record this? And you're like, I'm channeling right now. You gotta be quicker than that.
So I just wrote it down and took it, and I just didn't do anything with it. And I went on with my life that was like soulpreneur. All these different things came up. And so I have always felt that I was operating from my heart. But there was a part of me that had a shield around my heart because of my own trauma. I went through excessive trauma growing up in my own childhood, and having been able to transmute them and continually transmute them, I started this journey of conscious parenting so that my triggers are not projected onto my children. My trauma or my unconscious beliefs were not projected onto them. The same with my nephew. What happened with him was based on unconscious trauma. It was being projected out, and he didn't have self-worth. He didn't value his life. And so as I went through this process, I started making heart-centered meditations, and our heart brain, and our heart is meant to lead us, and our mind is a servant to our heart. But a world where it's all about thinking, using thinking, and thinking has its place,
Right.
but our intuition is here, and we want to go back to our intuition, our inner knowing, and our heart.
How do we know when it's our heart's brain?
How do you know?
Like the different
way question. Trauma disconnects you from your intuition. So it is so important that everyone take responsibility, radical responsibility for their lives, their past, their childhood, and reparenting is another part of this beautiful experience that we go through. And the work that I do is reparenting and clearing that trauma so that your access to your intuition comes back online. And you will know when it's your intuition because it comes from a different place. The mind will typically make up stories. It goes into fear, lack, limitation, judgment. And so knowing the difference and slowing down to know the difference.
Because I feel that like indecisiveness plays a part in that.
Confusion.
Yeah, and I was never an indecisive person, but after, life experience and then bumping your head a couple times, touching the stove, getting burned, you're like, okay, wait, I don't ever want to feel that heat again, or that didn't feel good.
Yeah.
And so you question yourself, like, am I making the right decision? And you prolong it. But someone that has always grown up and followed my heart and then let opinions or whatever, other people's narratives interfere with my life, now I'm trying to get out of that indecisive state.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice can you give to me that we can share with others to just make decisions, I guess, a little quicker, of identifying, this is your heart talking, and just, I guess, ultimately what it is learning to trust myself again.
Mm-hmm. That's the path. It's a path of, I like to call it like the sacred wound of humanity is the trance of unworthiness, where most humans have the core wound of I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, and they have disconnected from their intuition and have not trusted themselves, and therefore they're not trusting life, they're not trusting source, their spirit within them that is one with the creator of all that is infinite intelligence. How do we trust ourselves again? How do we know thyself? To know thyself and to be true to ourselves. How do we do that? Is clearing out this trauma that is trapped emotions in our body. And we say, oh, I'm not going to get hurt. I'm not going to do that again, because the subconscious wants to protect you. But it moves away from pain and it moves towards pleasure, but pleasure means familiarity. And so we want to really work with the subconscious mind instead to clear out the limiting beliefs. clear out the trauma in the body. So somatic work with the mindset work, and knowing that confusion doesn't come from the creator. The creator is not the author of confusion. So anytime we're feeling confused, we're not tuned into our intuition.
Yeah, I love that. Clarity knows the way. So for you, do you how long have you been doing the self-work on yourself? Like, did it take forever in a year?
For so long. I had to find my way. I was the youngest of 4. And so I had to find my way through life. My dad was working 3 jobs, and my mom was in a new country, and she had no friends, and she just had to figure things out for her 4 kids, and she was in constant survival mode, fight, flight. My dad was very spiritual. Okay. It was very spiritual. My father is a very spiritual man. He loved nature and everything. So, I would go and take a little closet and pray for help. And I just automatically would go into these moments of self-reflection, and I would just find ways to soothe myself.
Yeah.
But I know I was never alone. I would go into these deep conversations, and not everybody could have conversations with me. So I spent a lot of time reading books, and I've gotten to the fashion world and that was my creative outlet. And I started doing a lot of work with celebrities and stylists, and it was a very creative time in my life.
Yeah.
And
then one day it was, after your nephew, that's when you stopped being in the fashion world.
I could never take the fashion out of me, but that was when prior to that, I just took a break and raising my children. And so I started my own online business because I went into my masculine again for various reasons. And when we're in our masculine energy, by the way.
Wow.
Whenever
I used to be a workaholic.
Yeah, so
work. I have to be independent. I have to get it done by myself. With us also, with me growing up, me and my mom, we didn't have the best relationship growing up, and I was a complete daddy's girl. And then my little brother, he's my baby. So it was just my dad and my brother. It's 2 very masculine men. And so I'm not surprised that now I operate that way. So to just learn how to take a minute for myself, if I have a day where I may not have gotten work in the industry that I'm in done, I'm so upset with myself, just so hard. No, you need to be productive. But after being in survival mode, your body needs to rest. And then I'm no rest. We have to work. We have to just work our way out of that. And so that's just another example of being in your masculine, where we don't realize it, because I feel we're in a time of the boss babes. And, most red carpet premieres I'm wearing, it might be a sparkly suit, but it's still a suit. I'm not in the beautiful dress. And we've talked about that too. Wearing a dress helps you be more in your feminine. So can we go and talk about that? What are some other ways that women may not catch that we're being in our masculine, and how we can help and reverse it back to being in our feminine?
Yeah, of course. So, anytime we're in our minds, we're in our masculine energy. When we're driving, you're in masculine energy. Yeah. Mothering is healthy masculine energy. So we're in masculine. For me, I went into my masculine energy again. Yeah. So there's a nourishment that comes from my heart, my soul, but I'm still doing. I'm not in the receiving mode where I'm relaxing and it's not just sitting on the couch to relax, but it's a beingness. So just being, BEING is feminine.
Wow.
To just be here and be who you are.
But it's this generation teaches you different now. Because I would say no, naturally, I'm just so motivated. I'm so disciplined and focused. I could get a medicine.
That's masculine energy though, for hang on mine. So that's
and that's not natural. That's what I was programmed to think.
And that you have to constantly be moving. I work with men who are burning out also, because they are not taking time to just be. So there has to be balance within us. We have to have an inner union of masculine and feminine energy in balance. There's the balance of both. when a woman is more in her masculine frame and a man is more in their feminine frame, typically the relationship that does not work out, it collapses.
That was another thing, like, we had talked about before. I noticed when I'm operating so much in my masculine, the man is more on their feminine, because it can't be masculine and masculine. It's the polarity. Yeah,
exactly.
And then how you'll say, if you could touch on that, because you'll say it better than me, of like, where I'll find myself in situations where either it'll be a situation like that, I'm more in my masculine, attracting more feminine men, or I'll completely self-sabotage the relationship. Have you ever found yourself self-sabotaging, or just being stuck in your masculine and not being able to get out? Like, when were you able to get out of your masculine?
So I go through it as well. And when so if we're in defense mode, and if we get aggressive, all of that means that we're not in our feminine energy. We're totally off of our feminine vibe. And so we can go in and out of that, but the more we embody our feminine energy, which means we have to dissolve any emotions that are trapped from generations of the past, which our cells carry memory. And the more we do this work, and we become embodied, so our bodies are filled with the feminine essence of love, and we dissolving shame and guilt and resentment and anger and despair and sorrow and grief from our body, and we're filling it with divine love, and then we are able to walk and radiate, and we become more magnetic. And we extract experiences of where we're vibrating at. So if we're vibrating at shame, we're going to attract experiences that match that vibration. That's why doing the inner work is key to move up the emotional scale and your frequency, to raise your vibration, raise your frequency. They're not they're not hashtags really. It's like the truth of the universe or multiverse that we're not really taught in school. And we're taught what to think instead of how to use our minds. We're not taught what to believe. But yeah, we're told what to believe. And that's what's breaking down relationships. And for me, it's about preserving childhood, our childhood, and really remembering that we're here to be curious, to have fun, to be playful. To being playful is to be in your feminine energy, because it's soft. It's people so serious now, and how hard life experiences can make people, and they lose I guess the innocence, because you're not looking at life like this great world of possibilities anymore. You're walking in, I don't even want to say fear, but that is the reality. Who can I trust? I can't trust anybody. And I remember that's a big one. If people have that one, I can't trust, that's a huge underlying subconscious belief.
Because this person hurt me. Yes. So how do you love again when you feel that you didn't protect yourself enough?
Those are all our thoughts create our reality. The subconscious thoughts are the ones that create our reality. So we have to become aware of our subconscious beliefs. And this is what I help my clients to do, is I help to extract the subconscious beliefs that we've been operating under. So if we have a belief of I can't trust anybody, then we're going to create a reality based on that belief. So we have to go, I like to go to where that belief was formed, and I clear out the emotions that are attached to the event that when we assumed that belief.
Right.
And so that sometimes we can have that passed down from our mother, or from our father, or emotions are inherited as well as thoughts. And so we can transform that, and we have a new belief, I can trust life. I can trust myself. People are trustworthy.
Right.
And those are also, those words that we speak, that we affirm, also create our reality, because our voice has a frequency. It's an organ that we get to use to co-create life, but we're usually unconsciously reacting to life. Right. And we are operating from fear.
And I don't think people understand how important words are, how powerful words are. Like, one of the best things you've ever taught me is to take out trying out my vocabulary, because trying is a struggle word. And yes, you in a struggle.
Yeah.
What are some other words?
Yeah.
No, trying was a big one. I'm kind of trying to.
Can't was another one.
Yeah,
Try was another one. And I mean, this is what businesses, when I worked in businesses, I always brought intention into the businesses. I worked for billion-dollar companies, and I would go and I would train the employees and train the company. It's like kind of mission to how to turn customer into a client, into a friend, but to do it from an authentic place. And I would teach them how to use certain words and to connect, and how the words had power. And so can't was one of the words that we wouldn't use, because you can. I would say you don't want to, because we always can.
And that's such a big energy shift in itself, to know that you can,
that you don't want to. Right. So take ownership of what you don't desire, you don't want to do, but you can do it. Right. You can do it. And so instead of saying trying, I use kind of the examples of like trying, so that you can see how difficult it is. But it actually, the word, if you look it up, it means struggle. So we want to avoid using these words, because those are making it harder. You're basically like on a treadmill trying to move forward, trying. But they teach that to you in school, though. Try harder. And so you use that, you're programmed to keep using this word that doesn't get you really anywhere. And if it does, it's very little forward movement,
because it's keeping you to try.
Yeah, to keep trying. You're like doing exactly what you're saying. And so we're deprogramming from education system that we all have gone under. I have a different methodology of creative schooling for my children.
Yeah, so are your kids homeschooled?
So it's not even a homeschool, because we're never home, but it's life school. It's creative, customized, creative learning, and it all came out through my intention.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so I wanted them to learn about emotional intelligence, and I wanted them to learn about how to use their power of their mind, and I wanted them to learn life skills. So
that's amazing. I know. I love when you tell stories about Faith. She's so smart, so bright, and she could tell that you were able to spot the difference right away. And for her to do that healing work at such a young age, like, you're the greatest mom ever. Like, Mom, you learn how to do this. Do you feel that like you heal your younger self through your daughter?
I do, because she definitely activated a lot of different repressed memory patterns from my childhood.
Wow.
I can share one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when she was about 3 years old or 2-3 years old, she started to say, "You don't want me. You don't want me." And I went to the bathroom to shut the door to close. Just
oh my gosh, she broke my heart already. And so it's like, we love you. What do you mean?
Like, yeah. And
but for a child, like a 2-year-old,
she said that. Yeah, she said that, "You don't want me." And so I automatically knew that obviously that's not true. I love my daughter. She's like this. And I started like noticing when she said that. And I noticed this when I closed the door. And then I noticed like her father opened the refrigerator door, and then he closed it. He turned his back on her. Then she said it at the same time to him.
Wow.
He doesn't want me. He doesn't want me. So then I tuned in, and I wanted to know, where did that come from? Where did these words come from? They weren't just words that are just being said, because I felt something inside me. And as I reflected and I meditated on it, I realized a memory came up for me when my mom had left me in Iran to come to America with my oldest brother. I wasn't with her. So she left for an extended period of time.
Wow. And so that you feel like how she's across the country. Like, yeah. She's not just out her grad store.
They come back for I don't know how many weeks or months or whatever. And so when she came back, she told me that I had separation anxiety from her, because that's when I felt abandoned, so to speak, and left. And so I would sit behind the door of her bathroom.
Wow.
And wait till she came out, because I was afraid she would leave again. And then, back in those days, they would say like, "Oh, I'll be right back." and then right back didn't happen. Or they didn't even say goodbye because they
They'll
didn't want
sneak out because they'll still get crying.
We never do that. I'm always honest. Honesty is my highest value. And so
Can you say that to the
honesty is my
I love that.
Honesty
I
is
knew
my
how to
highest
get back
value.
on this.
We gotta get honest, because if we can't be honest with ourselves and we can't be honest with others, like we're always co-creating life, and you know, the law of correspondence and the law of vibration, they will always bring it. The truth cannot be hidden. It'll always come to the surface. So honesty is my truth. So what happened then, I just basically was honest with myself. Like, where did this come from? And so I realized it was from that experience. And as I did the transmutation of that memory and that experience, and realizing like what I had buried within me as a child, I had buried a lot of emotions because there was no one available to really hear me out or see me, or I was caught up in this, like going from country to country, moving from here to there. And so I had to revisit that time in my life and heal that. And once I healed it, she never said that again.
Wow.
She never said it again. She's never said, like, I would go to the bathroom, I'd close the door, she never used those words again, like that way.
That's
and it just went away. And that's when I knew that I was like, wow, what did I just do? I started doing it again, and I started seeing it again. And so she would activate something, and she would say something, or she would look at me a certain way, and depending on how I felt, I would look at it like, wow, this is a trigger. And then I would do the inner work, and I would clear it out. And right away, like when I started seeing clients, they would bring me what I just purified within myself.
This happened with you and I before. So you're like, oh, I know exactly what's going on and why that happened yesterday or why that happened this morning. And I'm like, give it to me. Let me know, because I'm stuck. I don't know what's going on. And that's what's amazing about healing too, and just having the peace of mind of knowing that nothing's by chance. Everything is happening for a reason, and what happened today may have something to do with what happened years ago. And you know, to figure that out and pinpoint it is so beautiful. And that's you trusting yourself. That's not you walking around confused or blaming other people for other things. And
Yeah.
that's a beautiful, amazing thing. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Wow, this has been such an impactful, powerful conversation. Thank you so much for being here. Before we close out, I want to do something a little fun. I'm going to just ask you these fast, rapid questions, and then in short words, like 3 to 5 words, whatever comes to you.
Okay.
And yeah, then I'll let you get out of here. All right. What is your favorite form of self-care?
Bubble baths.
I love that one. That's a good one. What is the best advice you've ever received?
Do unto others as you would want done unto you.
And if you could recommend a book, song, or movie to leave our viewers with, what book, song, or movie would you like to leave us with?
The song would be Our Love is Easy
Who's it by?
by Margot Gourdeau.
Okay, we'll clip it on as we leave. But thank you guys so much. This is Soul Sync. This is Sherrie B. Thank you so much for being here, Sherrie. Please tell our viewers where we could find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Sherrie B26. I also have a Facebook page under Sherrie Badkubei CHT.
Thank you guys. That is the end of Soul Sync. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, share a friend. I shared my secret weapon and how I navigate through life. But again, I'm so honored that you came. And that is it. See you guys next time.